You have been taught that caring is strength, that showing emotions makes you noble, that vulnerability makes you human. But this is not strength, it is vulnerability. And vulnerability is often used against you. No one told you that the more you care, the easier it is for others to manipulate you. From childhood, you were conditioned to seek approval, to worry about how others perceive you, to strive to prove your worth, to apologize for your intensity, and in doing so, you unknowingly gave away your power. You thought that emotional openness would lead to connection, but it only brought you anxiety, emotional exhaustion, mental instability. Niccolo Machiavelli would laugh at this modern addiction to the desire to be loved. He understood what most people still cannot accept. Strength does not come from emotions. It comes from the ability to manage them. When you care too much, they press your sore spots. When you react, they increase the pressure. When you try to win their approval, they withhold it. Caring gives them leverage, and you become predictable, weak, and controllable. The cold art does not care. It is not cruelty. It is strategy. It is the choice to remain silent when others shout. It is leaving when others chase. It is observing their attempts to provoke you and not reacting. And in that absence of reaction, you become invulnerable. Tell yourself, I do not owe anyone emotional explanations, because the truth is simple. If you want to win this game, you must stop caring about how you are seen and start thinking about how you will be remembered. First, caring makes you predictable, and predictability makes you weak. If they can predict you, they can control you. This is a harsh truth, and nothing makes a person more predictable than excessive caring. When people know what you react to, they know exactly how to manipulate you. Your silence becomes rare, your presence cheap. You become easy to read, easy to corner, easy to break. Every breath, every excessive explanation, every desperate message reveals something deeper. Your emotional need to be seen, to be understood. And that need is a chain, a leash that they pull when they want to control you. But Machiavelli did not live by emotions. He lived by leverage. He knew that true strength is not manifested in how loudly you shout, but in how quietly you observe. When you are not affected by disrespect, when you are not swayed by praise, when no one can understand what provokes you because nothing does, that is when you become dangerous. The person who does not flinch wins. The one who does not chase attracts. And the one who does not care controls. This is the level where you stop reacting like a victim and start behaving like a weapon. Tell yourself, my silence is my strength, because once they can no longer predict you, they can no longer use you. Second, emotional attachment is the foundation for manipulation. The more emotionally invested you are, the easier it is to manipulate you. That is why they rush to bind you to them. They will praise you from the very beginning, quickly open up, and show vulnerability. But not because they trust you, rather because they want you to trust them. This is a trap. Once your emotions are engaged, logic disappears, and with it, your strength. You stop asking questions, you start making excuses, and you begin to justify the warning signs, simply because you feel a connection. This is how they win, not through force, but by making you care. Machiavelli understood that emotions overshadow reason. He stated that a ruler must know how to be both a man and a beast, logical when it is time to govern, and ruthless when it is time to defend the throne. In the modern world, your throne is your mental stability, and you protect it by removing emotional bait. This means no excessive openness, no impulsive revelations, no reactions to provocations. You act as a strategist, not as a slave to your feelings. Because the more someone can hurt you, the more power they have over you. And the more you care about being understood, the less you will be able to understand the game. Say in the comments, "I feel nothing. I calculate everything." Because in this world, feelings do not protect you. Detachment does. The power of strategic indifference. Indifference is not weakness. It is apathy, a strength that is carefully disguised. When you master the cold art of not caring, you do not become insensitive. You become selective. You choose where to direct your energy. You choose who deserves your reactions. Most people spend their lives reacting to every insult, every opinion, every change in tone in someone's voice. They waste energy on people who would not flinch if they fell. This is not strength. It is slavery. Machiavelli knew that rulers who react emotionally are easily manipulated. Once people learn what hurts you, what makes you happy, what you need from them, they gain leverage. But when you become indifferent, you break their grip. They do not know where you stand. They do not know what you want, and this mystery puts them at a loss. It makes them guess, adapt, and worry. As long as you remain unflappable, observing in silence. Strategic indifference is not about disconnecting from life. It is about being unavailable for nonsense. When someone tries to impose guilt on you, you do not explain yourself. When someone insults you, you do not seek clarity. You simply take away what they need most, your emotional presence. This is the strongest response, not anger, not revenge, but indifference, silence, reinforced by self-respect. Because in the end, people are not used to being ignored. They are used to reactions. They feed on them. But when you give nothing, they become lost, and you rise. Say again in the comments, "My indifference is my revenge." Because the game is not about how much you care, but about how well you can control who feels that they matter. It is about emotionally detaching without losing your mind. Detachment does not mean you do not feel. It means you do not act like a fool because of your emotions. That is the difference between weakness and strategy. Many confuse the suppression of emotions with emotional detachment, and that is why they burn out. Suppression is when you feel something and push it down inside. Detachment is when you feel, but you are aware, you control, and you choose not to act. One is pressure, the other is strength. Especially since Eli did not say that you should not have emotions. He said that a ruler must learn to go against them. This means feeling anger but not reacting, feeling frustration but not giving up. It is not about being robotic. It is about dominating your inner world. Because when you control your inner state, no one from the outside can shake you. So how do you detach in real time? First, observe your triggers. Every time someone insults you, holds you back, ignores you, hurts you, or pressures you, stop, do not react, just observe. Allow the feeling to rise, but do not let it control you. You owe no one a reaction. You owe no one access to your emotional state. Secondly, interrupt the story. When your mind starts to create a narrative, like they acted that way because they do not respect me or they are ignoring me because I am not good enough, stop. Those thoughts do not belong to a strategist. They belong to a slave of perception. Replace them with interesting, noted, now let us focus. You are not here to decipher disrespect. You are here to build control. Thirdly, disappear without guilt. If someone crosses a boundary, you are not obligated to provide an explanation, a warning, or a farewell. Just leave. That is strength. And believe me, silence speaks louder than any words. When someone harms you and you do not even flinch, they will remember that forever. Fourthly, focus on the mission, not on emotions. The reason most people remain emotionally tangled is that they have nothing stronger than their emotions. But when you have a purpose, everything else becomes noise. A person without a purpose will succumb to their feelings. A person with a purpose will use their feelings, but will never be ruled by them. Ask yourself, does this situation help me dominate my goal or drain it? If it drains it, it dies. Fifthly, practice emotional minimalism. You do not need to discuss everything. You do not need closure. You do not need to be noticed. You need to remain sharp. People who try to pull you into emotional chaos fear your silence because silence means you are acting logically, not weakly. And logic is the battlefield of Machiavelli. The truth is that emotional detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It is the understanding that excessive concern for the wrong people, the wrong problems, and the wrong moments will cost you your focus and your life. You detach not because you are insensitive, but because your heart is too powerful to be handled carelessly. Make this clear. I am not chasing completion. I am controlling the impact. Let it be known that you are no longer available for emotional manipulation. You are not here to be understood. You are here to become a weapon. For when you stop reacting emotionally, you become incomprehensible. And when you become incomprehensible, you begin to instill fear. Insensitivity is a strength in social struggle. In a world obsessed with recognition, victory goes to those who do not react. While everyone else chases status, attention, apologies, and acknowledgement, the one who remains still, silently calculating, controls the situation. This is not alienation, it is dominance, and it is not something you are born with. It is a weapon you create. One cold decision at a time. Every group you enter, every conversation you participate in, is a subtle war for power. People assess you not by your appearance, but by how emotionally reactive you are. You flinch when challenged. You over-explain when asked. You seek approval when ignored. They are always silently, subconsciously testing your weakness, and most fail immediately because most cannot handle misunderstanding. Most cannot endure silence. Most beg to be noticed. But Machiavelli warned that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. This fear does not come from violence. It comes from stillness, from being incomprehensible, from being emotionally unavailable for manipulation. When someone insults you and you do not change, you win. When someone tries to provoke you and you respond with silence, they crumble. Not because you said something powerful, but because you said nothing at all. Insensitivity disorients the average person. They are accustomed to reactions. They are trained to control others through guilt, drama, and emotional tricks. But when they throw out bait and you do not bite, you flip the script. Suddenly they begin to seek your approval. They start to doubt their control. They become insecure in the presence of your indifference. You must learn this. The one who cares the least always controls the most. This does not mean being cruel. It means being controlled. It means knowing that power belongs to those who can remain calm in chaos, silent under pressure, and emotionally neutral in the storms designed to break you. If you want to dominate social interactions, do less, speak less, reveal less. Observe everything, speak only with purpose, and when you do speak, do so from a position of calm logic, not emotional reaction. Emotional people chase results, while strategic people observe them. Emotional people plead for understanding, while strategic people gather information. In every interaction, a quiet mind always prevails, because once people realize they cannot provoke you, they stop trying to dominate you. You remove yourself from the emotional chessboard. They have no moves left, and this makes you untouchable. When someone insults you, and you simply nod, when someone disappears from your life, and you do not even blink. When someone tries to induce guilt, and you walk away mid-sentence, not because you are angry, but because they no longer matter. This is a power they cannot match because it is internal. This is how rulers operate, how ghosts haunt the weak, and how power is maintained according to Machiavelli. Not through words, but through silence supported by presence. Write in the comments right now, "I will not be shaken. I am unyielding." Let the world know that you no longer play emotional games. You are waging psychological warfare and playing to win, because emotions make you visible, and without them, it makes you unstoppable. The sixth rule is to guard your energy like a fortress. Coldness is the gate. Time is currency. Energy is wealth. Attention is leverage. Yet most people squander all three like fools. They give their time to people who drain them, their energy to arguments that lead nowhere, and their attention to games in which they were not even invited to win. Then they wonder why they feel broken, used. Because they have never learned one critically important rule. What you invest your emotions in, you empower. Machiavelli understood this. He did not waste his power on what did not serve his strategy. He did not try to convince the unworthy, argue with the ignorant, or defend himself against fools. He knew that every drop of attention he gave was a form of payment, and he only paid where it strengthened his power. This is a lesson that most men never learn. You do not become emotionally detached for the sake of appearances. You do it to protect your fortress, your mind, your mission, your peace. Because every time you react emotionally, someone else directs your energy. They lure you into conversations that lead nowhere. They provoke you to see you lose control. They pretend not to understand to make you explain, and you fall for it every time. But not anymore. From this moment on, treat your attention like currency. React less, reveal less, leave people deliberately confused. If someone does not respect you, disappear. If someone tries to lure you in, smile and walk away. No reaction, no continuation, no explanations. This is not weakness. It is control. And in a world full of noise, control is the rarest form of power. This is what happens when you become emotionally cold. People begin to hesitate before crossing your path. Your silence becomes a wall. Your indifference becomes a signal. They start to understand. You are not someone to be toyed with. You are not loud, but you are definitive. You are not dramatic, but you are deadly. And they feel it. Even if they cannot explain it, they feel it. You project a presence that says, "If I cut you off, it is forever." This is what Machiavelli meant when he spoke of cruelty applied wisely, not in chaos, but in a calculated absence that strikes harder than any emotional outburst. A presence that makes people regret the loss of your attention, not just your words. You become less accessible, less readable, more powerful. You must understand this clearly. An emotionally cold person is not unfeeling. He is focused. He is not insensitive. He is disciplined. He is not a fool. He is simply tired of explaining himself to those who do not deserve the conversation. And so he moves lighter, sleeps deeper, plans more precisely, rises higher. He becomes someone others whisper about, not because he boasts, but because his silence speaks louder than their noise. Coldness is not cruelty, it is resilience. You have been taught your whole life that kindness means always being available, that strength means always discussing everything, that real men are always emotionally open and vulnerable. But this is how you have been made weak. This is how you have been easily manipulated, because a man who is emotionally open to everyone is vulnerable to anyone. Let me tell you what true strength is. Strength is walking away without saying a word. Strength is allowing someone to feel your absence without explanations. Strength is not needing to argue, not needing approval, not needing to be loved. It is being prepared for the fact that you will be misunderstood, because you understand the game, and that is enough. And when people see that you cannot be moved emotionally, they begin to self-regulate. They start to choose their words more carefully. They tread more lightly, because now you set the frame, you set the pace. And if they want to be in your world, they will have to play by your rules, or they will be completely excluded from it. This is how you reclaim your power in silence. Stop explaining yourself to those who have already decided not to understand you. Stop arguing with those who are not even listening, but are just waiting for their turn to speak. Stop wasting your breath on relationships that feed on your attention, but drain your purpose. Coldness filters. It shows who truly values you and who simply wanted access to your energy. It creates space. And in that space, you become sharper, stronger, more dangerous. Let them think you have no heart. Let them say that you have changed. Let them complain about your silence. This is what weak people do when they realize they can no longer manipulate you. Stay focused, disciplined, and detached, because the closer people feel to your emotions, the more they believe they have the right to invade your peace. And once you let them in, it becomes difficult to close the door. So do not open it for everyone. Do not explain what you have already endured. Do not try to make people understand standards they will never be able to meet. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them wonder what you are thinking. The truth is, you are not thinking about them at all. Say it right now. If it drains me, it does not deserve me. Let the world know that your attention must be earned. It is not given away freely. Your time is sacred, and your emotions are no longer on display for everyone to see. You have become cold, and this is how you rise to new heights. When you stop caring, they become obsessed with thinking about you. That is the paradox. The less you care, the more they chase after you. When you go silent, they start making noise. When you disappear, they begin to panic. When you stop reacting, they start losing their balance. This is not coincidence. This is psychology. People are addicted to approval. And when they do not receive it from you, their thirst intensifies, especially if they have received it before. Emotional detachment breeds obsession. When you stop giving people the familiar emotional response, they begin to feel insecure. And in psychology, insecurity breeds weight. They start replaying old conversations, rereading old messages, doubting themselves. Did I say something wrong? Why did they not respond? Do they not like me anymore? And the longer you remain silent, the louder their thoughts become. This is power. Niccolo Machiavelli knew that at the moment you retreat without warning, you create a vacuum, a void, and people will do almost anything to fill that void. Not because they love you, not because they care about you, but because you have become a mirror they can no longer control. And this loss of control consumes them. You do not survive the obsession for attention. You survive its absence. You do not become respected by being constantly available. You become unforgettable by being rare, silent, and cold. Not to hurt them, but to protect yourself. This is psychological warfare. You are not here to be emotionally generous with people who do not value your energy. You are here to create an advantage, and silence is that advantage. Say in the comments, I do not give anything away for free, not even my attention. Because once you learn not to care, the same people who rejected you will be haunted by your silence. Let them wonder. Let them rethink. Let them chase after a version of you they will never get again. You do not owe them closure. You must find peace within yourself. Emotional distance creates long-term strength. Most people exchange their emotional energy for a little approval, but a person, following the principle of Machiavelli, plays the long game. They do not seek applause. They do not need to be loved. They are calculating, always thinking 10 steps ahead. And one thing that gives them a constant advantage is distance. Emotional distance is not about withdrawal. It is about positioning. When you detach from the need to be accepted, you stop bargaining about your worth. You begin to observe. You start to choose. You gain an advantage because you are not emotionally tied to the outcomes. You do not desperately strive to win people over. You are focused on gaining power. In negotiations, the calmest person wins. In relationships, the one who is willing to walk away holds the control. In life, the person who can move in silence without emotional chaos is the one everyone watches. This is a long game, and most never master it, because they are too attached to being noticed right now. But you are different. You do not speak to be heard. You speak when it matters. You do not react to prove a point. You act to protect your peace. And this emotional discipline makes you dangerous in the best sense. People respect what they cannot easily access, and they fear what they cannot predict. Machiavelli understood that the game is not about winning temporary sympathy. The main thing is long-term influence. It does not matter if you are loved today. What matters is that you are remembered for how coolly, strategically, and confidently you acted when emotions tried to lead you astray. Those who try to test your boundaries, provoke you, or induce guilt can only win if you give in. So do not give in. Your silence is a slow burn. Your detachment is a long-term punishment. They may not feel it now, but over time they will understand, and you will be free. Say proudly, I exchange emotions for elevation. That is how it works. Transitioning from reaction to restraint, from seeking approval to being untouchable. The ninth step is the ultimate evolution from emotions to empire. This is where your rise occurs, not by becoming louder, not by proving anything to anyone, but by removing everything they have fed on. Your emotions, your reactions, your energy. You are no longer their fuel. You are no longer their mirror. You are the wall of silent presence that cannot be shaken. Because now you understand the game. You realize that in a world full of emotionally blunt people, the one who controls their inner world controls the outer world. You recognize that silence is not weakness, it is calculation. Detachment is not loneliness, it is leverage. You no longer need to be heard. You do not need approval. You do not even need to be loved. You need one thing: power over yourself. Because once you master this, everything else becomes secondary. Let them say that you are cold. Let them say that you have changed. Let them misunderstand your silence, your refusal to play emotional games. That is okay. It is the price of evolution. It is the price of becoming a person who cannot be manipulated. Machiavelli did not seek to be loved. He sought to rule. He studied weaknesses to rise above them. And now you do too. You are no longer the person who explains yourself to everyone. You are no longer the person who overthinks texts, loses conversations, or needs emotional release. You have stepped out of that cycle. Now you are a strategist, cold, clear, and calculating. And I must understand this. They need to feel your absence. They need to realize that you were an asset, not an option. From this moment on, live by this code. If it does not strengthen your power, it does not deserve your presence. If it does not protect your peace, it does not deserve your energy. And if it does not respect your silence, it loses access to your world. Say this one last time. Emotions do not control me. I control everything. If you are ready to become the coldest, calmest, and most unattainable version of yourself, start acting. For this is not motivation. This is war, and it begins within.